Shirley here with Sirius Taurus Moon. This is Venus, our moon day. And your ascendant is ruled by Saturn, retrograde, 26 degrees Pisces, with the moon in the 7th house, 15 degrees, separation from a Sirius applying to Jupiter, that's applying to Procyon. Midheaven is 17 degrees, ruled by Venus, applying to the Sun, and the Venus 29 degrees Virgo, with lot of fortune approaching Al Qaeda. So let's bring about some Al Qaeda vibes for this, because I'm bring the protection of the big bear from the destruction of cities, but holistic protection. So Al Qaeda, and I'm going to talisman, and I'm going to honor my teacher. It's not my teacher in the sense that I was subscribed to his courses, but I call him my teacher because I learned from him and I honor the people I learned from. And this is Christopher Warnock, Al Qaeda Talisman. Wisdom and protection from magic and the enemies, because the things we're talking about have to do with people that use the occult, but nefariously. And the best way to counter that is to use the occult, but benefically. And so chart I'm looking at is chart of a man named Jean-Michel Nihoul, and it's from Belgium. And this is a special Saturn return for the Detroux Dossiers. And the Detroux Dossiers, about in 1996, it was revealed. By the way, at the time, and I don't know, around the White March, unfortunately, um, there are people, boys that were also violated in those rituals, maybe even around the time of the White March, 96. And so, as a person tended to political assassination prevention, I talked about Lars' testimony came out on Trudy Verstegen, and he was testifying against two very important people. It's Mark Rutte and Geert Wilders, and he testified that they were also violated. And yes, and of course, I remind that in people that partook in physical rituals, they also had to violate. So that is basically also, it is also Saturn returned to that case. But is Saturn returned to the Detroux Dossiers, and the Detroux Dossiers basically was the case for, they found a person like an Epstein, like a Diddler, and unlike the people that were breaking families apart to take the children, which may or may not have been the job of my psychologist that was mind controlled, and yeah, there were actually occultistic intervention in a case of a mother that her children were taken away from her, and the lawyer suddenly had to drop the case. So, Saturn return for the Detroux Dossiers, and the Detroux Dossiers, Marc Detroux, he was kidnapping children differently. So there was involvement of kidnapping children, and I also saw, like, almost in channeling how I was doing that. It was using, not using. There was, because it was mind control, that there was a care, genuine, authentic care, and then to show the child like it's okay, and then kidnapping children. There's also mind control. Maybe the children was susceptible to the rituals done around infanthood, around birthing, probably around hospitals as well. And so, because we cannot understand these topics without understanding the occult, I think person that is using occult science benefically is, I guess, why I'm one of the people that tend to that. And the role of Jean-Michel Nihoul, when the Detroux case was exposed, Marc Detroux immediately said that he is a small link in a big chain. And There was another, I think, judge that was supposed to attend to the case. A lot of people were murdered around that time, with the testimonies and so on and so forth. There are many children there. There are way more than people knew. They found bodies of children, and they found girls that were basically smuggled out. So somebody was breaking apart the chain. And when Mark Detroux was caught, he said, I'm a small link in a big chain. And this was a real estate in Belgium that was um, uh, uh, basically used to traffic children and do extortion, very likely with those tapes, and very likely so that even maybe premiers, okay, prime ministers, and we're going to have election times. And this is where I said many times that we need to tend to the structure, because the names, they can expose the names and get rid of them, but the structure is important, because they're just going to replace the people that do that, unless we tend to the structure. And the structure is basically kind of like having a real estate. The people in the real estate, namely Marc Detroux, very likely were tortured themselves, as part of lobbying either from oil companies, banking elite, the people that have the resources, and even monarchy. And so when one, let's say, oil company wanted to consolidate wealth, they would make these big parties and bring people from the monarchy of so and so to this big party, many drugs very likely, and the children were mind controlled. The person like that that was keeping the place was mind controlled, and basically he was kind of like the housekeeper, but it was also his estate, and to get housing basically, yes. But he was tortured, and then had to torture, and did those things, and basically they caught the housekeeper. It was his estate, yes, but they had to have these films, and that way they would extort people, because a person doing things with child on camera. Now, very likely those monarchies and stuff like that, they were also tortured, so they were ready for give them some drugs, mind control with the child, and they were ready for to sleep with the children. They were also mind controlled, and this served as wealth consolidation and extortion. Then later, okay, as democratization and so on, then the people who would to be ministers, premiers, even jurisdiction, that would, and those people very likely grew up tortured, okay? Because to get an adult person to rape a child in front of camera, I think is something that people that are recovering from violence may not even know that, but it's not something usual, okay? And this is important, because the creation, and I think Marc Detroux knows more about the creation of a sex offender, and this is where they would get to these people, and there would also be an occultistic manner, okay, and has to do with life and death, whether it's Kabbalistic, a tree of life, tree of death, or it is Christian, or it is pagan, esoterics, okay. Anubis, I think, is connected to Sagittarius. Anubis, I think, is connected to where Marc Detroux's moon was, which is end of Sagittarius, is galactic center. Mula Nakshatra, okay. Mula Nakshatra very likely would be involved a lot, so the esoterics of Mula Nakshatra, because it is the core of the universe, and they basically wanted to control the core of the universe, okay. That's basically, and they used the gnosis of the occult to supposedly know everything, and supposedly be like the all-knowing God, and supposedly for people to live like the gods, and to do the best of the best and the worst of the worst, and then basically, how should I say that? Yes, oh yes, basically any people in power positions would have tapes, okay, and that's how they kept power positions. But this is funny because, let's say, in democracy, it's kind of like everybody needs to have tapes on everybody. So that would be, I think, mitigated by the wealth families through intelligences or something like that. And the use of dark occult and the light occult to play within the light and the dark in a way that would keep people able to be seen as the light and able to be seen as the dark, and both were authentic. So this is why, yeah. Now I'm taking a look at chart of person who may or may not had a job to, yes, may or may not had a job. Now he's 80 years old, AA, so it's good chart, good quality chart, and his role, whether he was aware or not, I'm not ascribing anything, was to get everything and everyone off the case, because Mark Detroux was telling the truth. And and they tried, anybody that survived. This is very relevant to cases of missing and kidnapped people that went to ritual abuse. And so, yes, we heard you the first time. And so this is basically a person that was supposed to show like it's only Mark Detroux, only him was doing that type of thing. So, yeah. And I'm going to take a look at this chart. And basically, a lot was done. And this is Saturn returned to the Detroux Dossiers. So basically, there was a white march. People knew that they're like, this man, okay, was making money of trafficking these children to someone. Okay, this he would physically he couldn't possibly do that, and he would die from heart attack from all that. He wouldn't die. Okay, so this is basically a Saturn return to the Detroux Dossiers, and it's very, very relevant also for this Epstein Island or the kidnapped people or ritual abuse, missing people. And so the chart from Jean-Michel Nihoul, Midheaven, 4 degrees Sagittarius. So the midheaven is 4 degrees Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter at 22 degrees Taurus. On my lot of spirit could join in Urano Beta Persei. Where's my Urano Beta Persei? I have Urano Beta Persei. It's actually Urano Beta Persei. Yes, this is actually oil that is not for use because there is a fungi growing in it. And that because I couldn't store it properly when I was in between houses. So now this basically, yes, it's the unraveling of things. But yes, Urano Beta Persei. So I'm just going to hold it, but I do have some remnants of something. And let's put this on. But from my Urano Beta Persei, I made a little body butter. It's a bit old now, but yeah. Now, Urano Beta Persei. Jupiter Uranus Beta Persei. That's the talisman I did. Jupiter Uranus Beta Persei. And basically, Jupiter was 22 in. So this is, it can be killing in name of religion, killing women in name of religion, perfecting technique of killing women in name of religion because it's Uranus. That would affect the world, maybe even use of technology. Those are potentials. Again, I'm not saying that he was consciously doing that. Okay, and this is very important. And yes, Saturn 15 degrees, joining my Sun. Lilith, okay, Venus 3 degrees, oh my God, Sun, Venus, Lilith conjunction. Sun around my Sedna, Venus in between my Sedna and my Venus, Lilith 5 degree. Like for example, if they would succeed kidnapping me when I was 6 years old, very likely this person would be one of the people that I would not. Yes, if he was in those. Lilith 5 degree Taurus. Venus 3 degree. Yes, Venus 3 degree Taurus. This very Taurian stellium is coinciding with chart of Belgium. Moon of Belgium is in Taurus. And with chart of Netherlands, because he would have Jupiter Uranus besieging. Jupiter is benefic, but not on the 22, and he's besieging the moon of Netherlands. Look at this Neptune, Al-Qaid, Neptune, 25 degrees of retrograde, and Rahu, 0 degree Libra, ruled by that Venus. Yeah. Moon Ketu, Moon conjoining my ascendant with Ketu in 0 degree. Oh, Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus are meeting on his Ketu. 0 degree Aries. Chiron Procyon. Chiron Procyon. Where my Procyon at? So he would be 84, which means that some of the people that are now old people or old, didn't mean that to jab anybody. Older people, in their even into their 60s, that person would have been 25 when they would be born. So these could be people that were unfortunately molested by people in his age. Okay? And Chiron Procyon is a person whose Chiron is around world peace. It can even be case where the world consolidation around certain peace talks involved something. Ah, okay. So, okay, remediating kidnapping of children as curating this Chiron. For him, is 84 now. To curate his Chiron is actually needing to remediate the case. And here's the thing, they used him, whether consciously or not, to remediate the case of, because they understand the occult, they use him to remediate the fact that Detroux was caught. Okay? But what would be remediating of his Chiron, particularly if he was said to be Centaurian, so around age 100, he's supposed to have second Chiron return. And this would be that to remediate the world consolidation, particularly around world peace talks, and to not kidnap children to do world consolidation. Okay, because this is, he was favored, but he had a wound around being favored because he was favored to do something that supposedly curates the wound of the world consolidation by trafficking children, and the actual curation is to make sure that it doesn't happen anymore. The children are tortured, sacrificed, and that the wealth consolidation is done by rape and extortion, by putting somebody raping and or raping child on camera or off camera for that record. So, by the way, for people that deal with those things in the astral, know that this is documented. Okay, this is frequency, this is documented, and this is basically a part of the growing technology. So it will be used for extortion. So, like I said, the people that did things underneath gloved hand do get caught red-handed, and it is used to extort them. And this Chiron is ruled by the moon. His moon, end of Pisces, 24 degrees Pisces, moon Ketu, which means that and Moon opposing Neptune, remediated by Jupiter Uranus. It means that this Jupiter Uranus, whatever he was sent to do, had to do to remediate him having a house or caregiving or maybe curation for something in childhood, or one of the parents, I don't know. Mars, 14 degrees Aquarius, ascendant 6 degrees Aquarius with Saturn in Taurus, Mars squaring Saturn, and this is night chart, and Mars is ruled by Saturn. All of them are ruled by Venus, that is in strong place here, so he managed to remediate the Detroux case by taking everybody off the list. And Neptune here is something mysterious. Round Neptune can be about secret societies, mafia, something global or globalist, even with, because it's to do with trade in Virgo. And Moon trining Chiron, and Pluto 2 degree Leo, squaring his Sun, polarizing figure, but trining his Moon and Ketu. Pluto is a point of Thales between Israel and Ketu. Chiron trine Neptune. He had to make details go missing. Details 18 degree Aries. Yes, I'm feeling very exhausted. He was learning how to blend in and making something go missing, to blend in evidence, to blend in details about toxins or toxic details, or even use of ailment. Mercury hour as I speak. Mercury 9 degrees Scorpio. And midheaven next to Spica, so I'm going to call him Spica. And yes, Nalcade again. So this is 28 degrees, 28, not 20, yes, not 28, already almost 30. The Saturn return for the Detroux Dossiers. And now Saturn is conjoining his Moon. We'll go over his Chiron. Thank you. Me sneezing. Clearing up the third eye. His lot of fortune. Ooh! I know. Okay. I think this person could have even. No, his Detroux is Detroux is how many years younger than him? And there's another person with the Mercury there. Um, and there was even criticism in Netherlands that even with the Detroux Dossiers they talk about the girls but didn't talk about the boys. The boys was the Rolodex. And um, yep. But this man is wait a second. Okay. I think I know something. I don't want to say it because um, wait a second. Okay. This man was used also to create people. But here's the thing, I don't know if this man knows this. Um, I think with Saturn Neptune conjunction we're gonna know more because this is going to be um, yes, we're going to know more. But the important thing is the structure, okay? And the structure of extortion cults is basically, from what I see, that they have this real estate and so on, and they use occult in a way to harm people's beliefs and even about themselves and so on, and the psychology. But this is so that anybody who is in any position would have the tapes, and they would have to, the people that would have tapes, they would have to show that they are really, really wanting to be there because they wanted to make sure that the person is with them on this, but at the very wound that they created makes a person that the only way a person could have choice is when basically, how should I say that, they would capitalize on the created trauma at childhood, and they would do this ritual of whether to show that the person have choice because they didn't heal the wound, and they would grab people by the wound. And this is where they would give people this certain training, but then with the wound, they would try um, to see if it kind of works, that they can make person to supposedly consciously choose and really, really want to be with these elected people, to do all these things and so on. Now, no matter what they say, no matter what they do, person could either want to get to the core of this issue, and these are people that would be more susceptible because they would want to get to the core of the issue and say, okay, even because what was done to them in childhood, they would want to get to the core of what happened. And from there, I think even the Detroux was a bit like that because of this moon Mula Nakshatra, but and because it's the moon, because the moon is upbringing and emotions and housing, um, has to do with birth, the mother. I'm recording, and they, particularly people that have the eighth house, and those people could like stay to show them like they really want to have key position or power position. But with the power, what to do, they may plan various things. Maybe even JFK was one of the people that, but then I think he participated in the world consolidation through trafficking children, okay, which is how it was allowed for him to be assassinated, or he wanted to resolve this case. I don't know. I really don't know. Okay, either one of the two could be. And Chiron, look, Jupiter would be stationed in retrograde on this Chiron and on Procyon. And so they were using him to remediate this, because those children were used to wealth consolidate, which is Procyon. They were used to also create what they marketed as world peace. And the Detroux was after the fall of the Soviet Union, and he was the remediation so that the politicians that created the peace agreements or whatnot would not be caught up to be rejuvenated. And he was successful in remediation of that, because then to the issue is not about the politicians, because they keep training them. It's about the structure, that they don't do this type of world consolidation, or that they don't work with the occult in this type of way. So, and they always would do this gaslighting around choice. Jupiter 22 could mean choice to kill, and this is night chart. Night chart, it means that he wasn't really having access to choice. It means that something of the self-value, and Venus here is squaring Pluto. So something of the self-value was he was trying to remediate for that choice to supposedly kill, and this choice, whether it was a to kill or be killed position. So to kill can be many things here, but this Jupiter is ruled by Venus that is squaring Pluto. And what Sedna for him would be the last decan of Aries, which is ruled by Mars. Yes, Jupiter is going to his fifth house of children and what people do for fun, so to speak. It's ruled by toxic degree Mercury. Now it's the degree of exaltation of the Sun traditionally, but it's also degree of yes, is something that is very challenging and can create evil in a person with a related disease. So it can be also degree of poison. And for him, yes, night charts, to talk about choice with night charts, they need to feel that the values are either that they are valuable, okay, that they are not valuable in the sense of important, but self-value. And this Venus-Pluto square is self-value, but Venus is in Taurus, and so, but then Saturn in Venus sign, squaring Pluto. For him, Saturn is ruling Mars. So it was something about him being valuable, and they were capitalizing on that, and maybe even, I don't know, whether it's women or men, relationship, because Venus is also spouse in a man's chart. But anyway, what he would try, it would be these crises with Pluto, but also financial and Pluto, Sol and Sun ruling Pluto, squaring Pluto from Taurus, Pluto in Leo, powerful positions. Lilith is sexual sovereignty topics around royalty, wives of royalty, oak banking elite with that one, because Taurus can be banking, financiers, particularly those that are around debt, creation of debt, Saturn, and the bonds, which is also Saturn. Look, I only know for what his role was in the Detroux case, from what was told, not from, and I just look at chart. So, yeah. So this is what I see, but I think this person, if he harmed people, some of these people now are quite important figures in the, yes, um, Neptune is also missing, the missing, and this would be 8th house for him. He may have been born by someone who was missing, or something missing about his birth, and this is a detail or something that is a toxic detail. This is what I know. To make a synastry of this with Mark Detroux, I don't know, but that's basically Saturn return for the Detroux Dossiers.